up? It's a Wee Natter. I'm Mark Steele, and across the table from me is...
Jenny Steele.
And we are joining you on the week that somebody in the Highlands accidentally built a hobbit house. Well, it says in the headlines it was an accident that started in the 80s. So it doesn't sound so much like an accident at that point. Although I will confess, I have been described as an accident that started in the 80s, so it is entirely possible.
An accident building up or waiting to happen.
And has already happened in my case 9 times out of 10. On a more positive note, the post bag has arrived, and last time we asked you what we'll be cringing about in 20 years from today. Slappers has been in touch with the undeniable return of the mighty mullet. They fear there will be a lot of cringing in regards to hairstyles, particularly males being sashayed about at the moment. Weirdly, it threw me the other day, right? Saw a chap running around with a mullet. And I'm not talking about somebody who hasn't changed their heads, their hairstyle in decades. They've gone, right, that's my hairstyle and it will be that forever. Yeah. It's not one of those chaps. It was a young person running around with a mullet. It felt wrong.
Did he have Oxford bags on as well?
What do you mean by Oxford bags?
They were a particular kind of trouser out at the time the mullet was in, because my brother used to wear them. He had Oxford bags, which was baggy trousers basically, and the pockets were so far down to your kneecaps you used to walk around constantly hunched if you wanted to put your hands in your pockets. They look ridiculous.
I don't know if that's worse or the thing that came a bit later where everyone was wearing their trousers round their knees and they had their, underpants on show.
I saw a young lad like that yesterday. I just felt like saying to him, pull your pants up, mate. A little silly.
You're onto something there. Also be in touch, age. I really hope we look back in 20 years and say, I can't believe we actually used to pay $5 for a bottle of water. The sad bit is, the shock will be the other way. That's what I'm expecting. It won't be, oh my God, we paid $5 for it. It'll be, wow, did we only pay $5 for a bottle of water?
Yeah. Bring them back.
That's how I think I'll go there. Cheryl's also been in touch saying, just listen to Wee Natter about the benches in Norfolk. So yes, we talked about some benches that were a bit on the piss. Yes, they've been delivered in Norfolk. If they're not level, we say they're on the huh.
Is that how you say it, Cheryl? The huh?
On the huh.
On the huh.
On the huh.
Can I say that when you've had too many lagers? Mark's huff. It's not got the same ring to it.
It doesn't. It doesn't. When you've had a few too many cans of tin soupy or whatever. But also, they do say with bated breath too, and the life of Riley for the laziest people do absolutely nothing. It is amazing some of the turns of phrase we do have, isn't it?
It is.
And on that note, unless you're looking a bit peely-wally, I think we ought to have a wee natter. You know they have those international whatever days, like, when this episode's coming out, the day it's being released, dear listener, it's International Radio Day.
Oh.
Is that a day where we all have to run around doing Tony Blackburn impressions?
Yeah. Is he the one that said pot pickers? Was that somebody else?
I think he did bang on about pot pickers.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So do we? If we've got to do Tony Blackburn impressions, I'm only going to apologise, dear listener. I'll have to look it up and find out before we release this episode.
I'll have to practice because I'm really rubbish at impersonations and I don't even know what Tony Blackburn sounds like. I could do who was the Irish geezer?
Who was the Irish
Terry Wogan. I couldn't do him either actually, so I don't even know what I said his name.
You just said you could do Terry Wogan.
I can't do Terry Wogan.
Well, I definitely cannot do Terry Wogan. I can just about do Billy Connolly. You're just going to sound like you're taking a really big dump. Which is rubbish because I sound nothing like him. But anyway, more important is one of those days happened this past week, dear listener, right? It was National Pizza Day.
Oh, yes, it was.
How do you think I found out?
You looked on Sooty the Solid Radio Cat's Facebook post because she did post that and we got some fantastic combinations of what people like on the pizzas.
I didn't know. Oh. The council sent a message to everyone reminding them you can't recycle pizza boxes. That's how I found out. The real question, have you got any controversial views on pizza toppings?
I like pineapple on mine, but a lot of people no, pineapple sweet and pizzas are savoury. We shouldn't mix the two, but I do like a pineapple. Anchovies, no, forget that.
So you're talking about sweet on a pizza.
Yeah.
They were selling... I can't believe I actually bought one and tried it, dear listener, but they were selling pizzas with chocolate topping on them at one point.
Oh.
So where does that
fit? How do you cook them then? Or they
go in the oven. They go in the oven, but they've got melted chocolate on top.
Sounds nice. Although you, from Scotland, have a fried pizza, don't you, with a fried egg in the middle, which I know Age is desperate to try.
Yeah, so I do indeed have two controversial opinions about pizza. One of them is fried pizza is alarmingly good. If you've never tried it before, I won't advise you do it at home, but chip shops tend to do it, is take your 99p margarita pizza and deep fry it. I'm not talking in batter, that's pizza crisp, I don't do that. But just deep fry the pizza. You'll be amazed at how good it is.
Yeah, it doesn't taste greasy, does it?
It's amazing, not just because of how fuzzy it makes your arteries, but it is amazing. And my other controversial opinion is something I picked off my old man. Gorgonzola and fried egg in the middle of your pizza. It is brilliant. That said, I'm currently in training for National Donut Week, which is coming up in May. Because, the local bakery, they have this thing where if there's 20p, you have as many donuts as you can eat without licking your lips. So me and my friends, a number of years ago, discovered a technique is to stuff as much down your throat without chewing as possible.
Yeah.
You usually neck it down like you're a goose or something like that. You just get it down there. So if I don't make it into next week's show, dear listener, you know how I have suffocated during training.
Let's talk about dog breeds, Mark. I don't have a dog. Well, we don't have a dog, do we?
So what particularly about dog breeds? Because dog breeds are this, if you would go back in time, it's this weird Victorian thing. Now, there was generally sort of overall concept of breeds, but the huge number of them we've got and all the strict rules about them come from, if I remember correctly, the Victorian era. But what is it about dog breeds you want to touch on?
Well, that's just kind of puts them in my mind now, because there's so many different breeds now, isn't there? The little ones that look like little teddy bears, and there's ones that look more or less the same, but they're called something different. So how do you know what breed of dog something is? And the reason I say this is because I quite made myself laugh the other day, because I was out having a walk round the local country park, and this guy was out with his two dogs, and I said to you, didn't I? I said, there's the Blue Monday dogs. And you was like, what? And I was like, those dogs on the Blue Monday dogs. New Order, that was it, New Order. And I was like singing the song, getting a few funny looks at the time, and you was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And eventually you clicked.
To be fair, your entire pitch for telling me what the song was going, dun, 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 dun,
we need the music on. We need the music on.
we can't afford the music.
Oh.
So I have to do a very solid impression of your good self singing music. So yes, there is a dog that's in it. How would you describe this dog?
How would you describe? This is the thing. They were kind of silver coloured, and they looked a little bit Labradorish, but they weren't Labradorish. I can't explain it, but you'd have to watch the video. I'm going to ask people to. Was it New Order? Blue Monday. Have a watch the video. Apparently, it was the cameraman's dog that was in it. But that's the only thing I could think of when I was saying, oh, aren't they a lovely looking dog? And I think the Blue Monday dogs, the Blue Monday dogs. But I couldn't even think what the breed was.
So, are you suggesting we rename this breed the Blue Monday dogs?
Yeah, the Blue Monday dogs.
And then, so we're going to rename dogs based on how we remember. So sausage dog's going to remain as it is, because it's a nice, simple, easy one to remember. It looks like a sausage.
Yeah.
But whippets are just going to become racing dogs, aren't they?
Whippets. Yeah. That's just reminded me of a Mr. Whippy. And I just thought of an ice cream there when you said whippet.
You can't call them ice cream
Mr. Whippy.
dogs.
Mr. Whippy dogs.
This is going to sound a bit weird, especially for you, dear listener. I'm going to ask Jenny anyway. How would you describe the sort of place that we live in, if you were to put it into sort of general category?
Sophisticated and posh, just like me.
That's a funny way of saying semi-rural ex-mining area, but we'll take it. You know what you're trying to say. And, we quite enjoy the slower pace of life. That's what we aim for here, dear listener. But it is quite funny seeing people move out from the big cities to places like this and complain that the chip shop closes at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it's got me wondering, off the back of that, what seems like a good idea in theory, but is not in practice?
Putting a collar on Sooty, because she always comes back 5 minutes later with it. It's gone. She's lost it. So,
are you trying to pitch Sooty as the Houdini of cats in the hope of making money off of her little magic show? You might be onto something there. A couple of ideas came to mind. Lasagna in pubs. You would have thought it's not a difficult food to mess up, Go to Iceland, keep it in the freezer, ding it as needed. That's all they need to do in the pub.
Yeah.
But some places, it's not that bad, but you get the idea. I have seen worse though. Service station macaroni. I had that once with onion chunks. Who puts onion chunks in macaroni cheese?
That service station, mentioning no names.
Well, the worst bit is it's one of those service stations that people tend to go out of the way to...
Yeah, it's very posh, isn't it?
Out of the way to visit. It sounds bonkers saying that about a service station, because 9 times out of 10, you don't want to go in the service station, but this is one where you plan your trip.
Yeah, you'll want this one, definitely.
But they put onion chunks in macaroni. We need to have words. And the other one that pops to mind, Scalextrics.
Oh.
Because there's a lot of faff to put Scalextrics together, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what happens when you pull the trigger?
The car just skids off the track.
And you have a new hole in your plasterboard, don't you? Exactly. So I'm going to open this up to you, dear listener. What seemed like a good idea in theory, but in practice, it's just not working out. A couple ways to get in touch, at Solid Sooty or at Solid Radio UK on the socials. Or if you're on Spotify, the question has popped up, you can tap on it and stick your answer in there. And we will share your disappointment, because sharing is caring, in the next episode.
A little bit of a spoiler alert, Sooty, or she let it out on her Facebook page, so people know that I'm going to have a little bit of chat about this one.
Uh-oh.
But I want to talk about, we're back in coffee shops again, Mark. I want to know if this is something that you would complain about. I was out the other day, had my normal decaf skinny latte, and gets to the table, and it's kind of half full. So, when they do the with the milk, and then you get that foam on top. My foam was 3/4 of the coffee. You said to me, if that was a pint, you'd complain, wouldn't you? Because you get too much head on it. So you're sitting there thinking, do I complain to a particular coffee shop if your coffee came to you and a majority of it was just it was just a head on it, wasn't it? There's no coffee hardly in my glass.
But then you're talking about the sort of coffee that she goes for the other start is a little bit of coffee in the bottom and a lot of frothy milk on top, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's mainly frothy milk. So I guess in a technicality, 90% of it's head, if we want to call it that. So they aren't in the wrong, they just got the mixture a bit weird.
Would you complain? That's what I'd like to know. But there's something else just while I'm on coffee shops. Mm-hmm. When you pay for your coffee and you go, I'll have a medium skinny latte, and they go, whatever, $3.25. And then when they're making it, they go, 1 shot or 2. So I'm standing there thinking, is 2 shots included in my price? But I don't want to ask that because I feel a bit tight then. So I think, is 2 shots included or is it 1? And then I have to then rethink my day, replant my day, because I think, if I have 2 shots, does that give me 2 beans? And then I think, 2 shots would put me in turbo mode. So I have to think, if I was a hairdresser, I'd become Edward Scissorhands, wouldn't I? 2 shots, I'd be up the wall. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, so you worry that 2 coffees is going to put you over the limit for the day, and you're going to go completely bonkers, and you're worried about whether you get your loyalty points as well.
But I get 2 beans for 2 shots.
I think you might be a little too worried and need to give up on the coffee entirely at this point. Did you hear how McDonald's got into a little bit of hot water with their advertising this week?
No, I didn't.
They had an ad up for McCrispy.
Yeah.
Which is a chicken thing. So it said McCrispy in big writing next to a sign for a crematorium.
No, really? Yeah. I can't laugh because that makes me heartless, doesn't it? But it is a little bit funny, is it not?
Yeah, I'll admit I come down on it. It's a bit funny side.
Sorry.
I mean, it was a genuine thing. It really did happen, but I'm more outraged at the fact they got rid of the chicken legend and the breakfast wrap. I'm just outraged at that. But as for the advert, it was a mistake. But like you say, I find this on the funny side of it. But it got me wondering if we need to be more tasteless with some of these advertising. Get the king there instead to mention their 100% flame grilled burgers. Put that next to the crematorium sign. Or maybe a weight loss plan. It's a fairly brutal diet. Get rid of everything there. But then there's ones you think would be, completely tasteless, but actually a bit useful. A barbecue being sold in that ad slot instead, next to the crematorium sign. I mean, you've got to cater for the wake somehow, haven't you?
Another question that I put out on, Sooty put out on her Facebook page. I think that was today's post. Do you remember the Pop Man? Pop, not pot. Pop Man.
Well, I remember the Pop Man because he's down the street corner most days. But no, if you're talking about the Pop Man, you're talking about selling off the back of not an ice cream float.
It looked like an ice cream float, didn't it?
Yeah, it was the milk floats. That's what I'm thinking of.
Milk float, yeah. And I was like, I just thought it was me, but I can remember, I think the brand was Corona. Would you say Corona nowadays?
Well, you'd probably think about rebranding at this point.
Yeah, I think you would, wouldn't you? And I can remember my dad's favourite was ice cream soda. Yeah, and I'd go out and you'd feel right posh because you'd be there with your bottle of dandelion and burdock under one arm, ice cream soda under the other. But the magic part was that when you took your bottles back, well, I mean, we only got 2p. I feel all done by now because somebody on Sooty's post said they used to get 10p. But didn't you say you used to get 20p for your bottles of Iron Brew?
I did. This is in very recent times, but it used to be 20p for a glass bottle of Iron Brew. So you had to go out your way to get a glass bottle rather than the plastic one in the first place, but you did get 20p back, yes.
2p in my day, 2p.
Now, I don't want to sound like I'm posh, especially as I'm not, but have you heard of those goo desserts? The ones you get?
Yeah. Have you seen how much they are?
Really expensive.
Yeah.
They're a nice posh treat.
Though.
Yeah, they're a posh treat. Has anyone ever figured out what you do with the glass pots they come in?
Could you use them as little like ramekins? Hey, you could put a poached egg in there. Could you use them for poached eggs or not? Dips?
I have no idea. They just sit there. The odd occasion you have them, they just sit there collecting dust forever because you don't want to throw them away, do you? And you can't take them back for the 20p like you did with the Iron Brew bottle.
That's a shame, isn't it?
But and the other bit is you can't stack them either.
No, you can't.
They just start toppling over. Talking of which, Heinz, have a word with yourself.
Well, what have they done?
You can't stack the tins of beans. I know they've done it on purpose as well.
Have they?
This makes me sound like a conspiracy nut now, I'm saying this. They've done it on purpose. It's all to do with how they get shown off on shelves and things like that.
Ah.
But yeah, Heinz, have a word with yourself. We want stackable tins. But, it's not the worst secret stash in the house. Everyone's got, all sorts of stashes in the house. The worst one that everyone has, those plastic bags from when we used to get them in the shops that live under the sink.
Yeah, we filled a roll cage up with ours and we took them back to Tesco one day. Can you remember?
Yeah,
because
they do the soft plastic recycling nowadays. How long do we have to keep the quick save ones until they become collector's items?
Oh, yeah, might be worth saving one of them.
Which is going to happen first? Is it going to decompose, which plastic doesn't really do, or is it going to be worth a few bob? I'm not sure which.
Take it on Antiques Roadshow.
What, a quick save plastic
I can imagine whipping that out.
That was, unfortunately, a wee natter. I can only apologise, dear listener. I was Mark Steele. My cross table from me was...
Jenny Steele. Just one quick thing to add. Another bit of another chat with Age. And those socks, Age, those thick socks that you like the look of, they are mine on that photo I took. They are mine. Very good for sticking on with your walking boots and having a walk round the local country park. Really warm and fluffy. And you know what? There was about £2 a pair from Primark. Do they have Primark in Australia?
You're asking the wrong person that question. And talking of which, wherever you are, whoever you happen to see, tell them that a wee natter is a thing that exists. Search for it on their podcatcher of choice. And remember to subscribe. If you've not hit the subscribe button, go do it now. And go make sure everyone else in your life does it as well. On that note, I think we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, bye.